Willy, Willy, poop, poop, poop. Willy, 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 poop, poop, poop. Willy, poop. Willy, poop. Willy, 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 poop. Willy, 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 poop. Willy, Willy, poop. Willy, 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 poop, poop, poop. Willy, 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 poop, poop, poop. Willy, poop. Willy, poop. Willy, 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 poop, poop.
How you guys doing out there tonight? This is Willy P Streams. Hey, thank you guys for coming in. It's actually Willy P TV1 on Twitch. But I got another reaction for you guys tonight. I hope you guys are ready. You guys want to just go ahead? We can go ahead and get right into this thing. It says $90 million cartel pipeline busted in Missouri. 62 arrests drawn or at dawn. Drawn. Okay, here. Well, what the heck is happening here? Okay, oh, there we go. All right, so let me do this. Oh yeah, and if you guys would please, subscribe to Military Power, like and subscribe. Thank you guys. All right, let's get into this.
Buffet here in St. Peter's.
At exactly 5:12 a.m., the quiet suburb of St. Peters, Missouri, turned into a federal strike zone. ICE agents, backed by Homeland Security investigations and the FBI, surrounded a Chinese restaurant called Golden Apple Buffet. What seemed like a simple dawn inspection was, in fact, the first phase of a counterintelligence raid hidden behind an immigration case. Flashbangs echoed across the street as armored agents breached the side entrance. Inside, startled workers dropped utensils, and a few tried to run through the kitchen doors before being pinned down. Within minutes, the restaurant floor was cleared. Underneath the kitchen tiles, agents found a hollow space sealed with lead plating, an unusual detail that instantly changed the tone of the operation. When they opened it,
Well, when they say lead plate, what would I don't understand that. What would be hidden underneath a lead plate? Hero? I don't know. Money? I don't know. I think maybe it's like a way to like keep like I don't know. Can metal detectors detect lead? I don't know.
soy sauce containers filled not with liquid, but with compressed fentanyl bricks wrapped in foil and coated tape. Upstairs, another team secured the office area where they found high-resolution ID printers, stacks of blank passports, and 2 servers running encrypted programs that were still active when power was cut. In the backroom freezer, agents discovered bags of white powder vacuum-sealed behind false panels. Every inch of the property, from the ceiling vents to the freezer floor, had been modified for concealment. Body cameras captured the entire scene in real time as federal command posts monitored the feed from Washington. Simultaneous arrests were reported in nearby Springfield and Kansas City, all targeting restaurants linked to the same network.
Whoa. Springfield's close to me, but oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that it was like a actual raid, you know. But yeah, it looks like they took down a bunch of people. So.
By sunrise, it was no longer a local bust. It was a federal counterintelligence event, quietly unfolding in the heart of America. If this was only about undocumented workers, then why did ICE deploy radiation scanners and digital forensic teams into a kitchen? Something under those floor tiles was more than contraband. It was information. What kind of data were they protecting? What ICE found under those tiles wasn't drugs. It was a server farm. 2 black aluminum towers, still warm when agents pulled the plugs, held over 4 terabytes of encrypted files, visa templates, payroll lists, and routing data for offshore transfers.
Hold on,
Fiber
guys.
cables were wired through the wall and disguised as restaurant refrigeration lines. Each port glowed faint blue, still transferring packets through a proxy node traced to Singapore. Forensic techs recognized the pattern instantly.
So
It was the same
basically, they
encryption
were
protocol used by a software vendor
finessing the
registered in
system.
Shenzhen, China. That explained the radiation scanners and digital teams. This place was not a kitchen. It was a command post. 3 days before the raid, a DHS database in Kansas City had flagged something unusual. 27 green cards carrying identical barcode sequences, all approved under a single business sponsor, Golden Apple Hospitality Group. That level of duplication was impossible without inside access. Analysts cross-checked social
Crazy.
security data, only to find the same ID numbers repeated under different names in Arkansas, Kansas, and Missouri.
Whoa.
When the financial logs were pulled, the trail widened into an invisible.
I have not heard anybody talk about this. Like, I literally live in Missouri, and I've not heard us. This is literally the first I'm hearing of any about this. Literally.
Web. Hundreds of small wire transfers looping through shell firms in Panama, Taiwan, and finally back into Midwest banks, each stopping just below the $10,000 reporting threshold. It was deliberate. The data also revealed unusual shipping records. Containers labeled soy sauce and culinary equipment arrived monthly from Ningbo, China, with identical tracking numbers, something no commercial shipper would ever repeat. ICE knew they were looking at a laundering and logistics system designed for dual use, cash washing and controlled shipment, but they didn't expect what lay beneath. When field teams used portable ground-penetrating scanners, they detected a hollow space under the restaurant floor. The reading showed a rectangular cavity, roughly 7 meters long.
Let me guess. Drugs, guns, money.
And sealed with a metallic layer.
Imagine being able to build an app with
It's like, if there wasn't something good underneath that floor, then it really wouldn't even be worth their time to look, but they probably didn't expect that it would actually be something.
Lead
So let's
shielding
see.
meant one thing. Someone expected radiation or X-ray sweeps. That level of engineering was far beyond any local smuggling operation. At
Oh, yeah.
2140 that night, the HSI Regional Command Center went to red status. Operation codename Jade Soy. Orders were short: recover all digital devices, secure chemical substances, and prevent any data wipe. No local.
I don't know, dude. And another thing is that like a lot of people who are running these networks, stuff like that, like they don't even. I don't think that they would think to even do anything like that. Like thinking like maybe like that's, I don't know.
Police.
Like you get what
No
I'm
advance
saying.
notice.
Like maybe it's
Everything
not a
under
thing,
federal
but that's
authority.
a real thing.
The logistical buildup was quiet, but enormous. Teams from Quantico's cyber unit arrived with portable data extractors and Faraday cases for electronics. Another unit brought handheld spectrometers to verify chemical composition of the seized substances. A separate ICE detachment handled human trafficking angles, because along with forged papers, there were now confirmed fake identities connected to labor contracts. Each operational team rehearsed a synchronized breach. Timing was everything. The hard drives in use had a self-destruct firmware that would overwrite every sector if the system lost power for more than 5 minutes. That's why ICE brought digital engineers on site. Their job was to mirror the data live during the cut. At 2:30 a.m.,
Oh,
DHS
really?
confirmed additional addresses tied to the same network.
Dude, that's pretty ham that they were like that they brought people out, that they were mirroring people's stuff so that before they could try and wipe it, they would have basically copied it. That's crazy.
Restaurants in Kansas City, Springfield, and Joliet, Illinois. 42 agents were
In Springfield, nah, there's no way. Springfield, Missouri? What? No, I'm just kidding.
assigned
Alright,
across 7
let's get back in.
locations. The objective shifted from drug seizure to intelligence capture. For the first time in months, ICE had authorization to treat a domestic smuggling ring as a foreign intelligence front. The St. Peter site was designated as the primary node. A secondary target, a supply warehouse outside Kansas City, was labeled Server 2. Intercepts showed that the network had pushed encrypted updates between both sites less than 36 hours earlier. That meant the servers were active and synchronized. Any premature entry could trigger an automatic data purge across all locations. To ensure simultaneity, field agents used synchronized clocks tied to DHS atomic time. The moment of breach was fixed at 5:12. When the teams hit, every second would count. Inside the Missouri restaurant, the first wave seized the floor-level servers, while a second group went upstairs to disconnect 2 laptops left running on a desk beside open passport books. The monitors displayed an interface in Mandarin showing live routing to a mail server registered in Singapore. One folder was labeled Qingdan A, translated as List A. The content was later confirmed to contain hundreds of names, visa numbers, and entry logs of Chinese nationals distributed across 10 U.S. states. On another drive, investigators found payroll documents listing employees who didn't exist, each worker tied to bank accounts at 2 Missouri credit unions. The amounts were small, consistent, and spaced evenly, perfect for laundering. But the metadata told the deeper story. The files had been last edited, not in the United States, but in Shenzhen, China.
Your LC is what they were looking organized, official, and ready to.
So basically, what I'm getting out of this is that it is like basically a huge front for everything else they're
Under
doing.
watch for espionage links. It was now clear this wasn't
Ooh,
only
they
about
think they're doing
narcotics
espionage?
or forged IDS, it was about data. The operation was laundering both money and identity. By 5:18 a.m., communication lines were secured. Data extraction teams began imaging drives on site using mobile forensic tools. The mirrored copies were immediately shipped under escort to a DHS lab in Quantico. Analysts later discovered that one of the server partitions had been wiped seconds before the breach, evidence that the remote operator had been watching in real time and tried to delete the network. The attempt failed halfway, leaving fragments of an internal messaging log. One message, decrypted later, read, "Switch to proxy B, node compromised." Outside, federal trucks were already loading seized equipment under heavy guard. The entire operation lasted less than 30 minutes. 40 miles away, in Kansas City, another team intercepted a truck registered under Midwest Flavors LLC, the same fake company linked to the bank transfers. The truck carried only cleaning supplies, except for one box sealed with heat-resistant tape. Inside were 20 flash drives labeled Menu Updates. Every drive contained code identical to the Missouri servers. By sunrise, agents knew they were dealing with a nationwide system disguised as a restaurant chain. Each outlet acted as both front business and relay point, cooking food on the surface, transmitting data below. Recovered foreign contract, simplified Chinese, signed between.
So basically, like if you bought food, I'm confused at that angle. Like, so if you bought food at one of these places, they would basically be upstairs stealing your data, like when you scanned your card or whatever. I mean, I could see it, but I don't know if that's what they're saying.
Ningbo Logistics Group and Monterrey Importaciones S.A. That single page linked China's coastal manufacturing sector with Mexico's shipping routes and placed Missouri directly in the middle. The data chain was global. The operators were coordinated. And somewhere above all of it was an architect pulling the strings. If a single restaurant in the Midwest could connect Ningbo to Monterrey, then who exactly was commanding the system? And how deep inside America had it already reached? The structure behind the Missouri network proved to be neither local nor improvised. It was organized with precision, foreign in design, and digital in execution. Inside the Quantico Forensics Division, federal technicians worked without pause for nearly 2 days to recover data from the drives seized during the St. Peter's raid. When the encryption finally broke, the fragments revealed an entire system of nodes, Each restaurant in the chain assigned a specific numerical code, each connected to a hidden server in Singapore. The digital address was linked to a logistics company already flagged for supporting sanctioned entities in China, suggesting the restaurant chain was only one branch of a much broader mechanism. The recovered files described regular uploads scheduled every 4 hours. Each upload transferred 2 datasets, one covering financial transactions and the other labor records. The first stream
So if you got hired there, then they were keeping your info too?
showed a pattern of microtransfers, each kept below the reporting threshold and repeated thousands of times across multiple accounts. The second contained biometric files, identity scans, and fabricated employment histories. The data pointed to the creation of an alternate
Also, I think that they're kind of doing like we'll help you get into the country and get legal and get paperwork without having to go do the proper measures. Is like that thing.
identity network operating quietly.
I mean, that's at least what I'm seeing, anyways, and that's what would make the most sense to me. But that's also the other thing about things like these is that, I mean, honestly, we'll probably find out throughout the video, but never really actually know what's on someone's mind when they're doing something
within U.S. borders. Technical
get pretty
analysts
close.
noticed something else in the source code. The syntax combined Mandarin and Cyrillic characters, which indicated collaboration between Chinese and Eastern European programmers. Routing traces briefly appeared through Russian commercial servers before disappearing into a maze of offshore VPNs. The technology had no single point of origin.
In the Win with Zen sweepstakes, you
So basically, what I'm getting from that is that I really think that they're trying to. It's probably, and that's they're trying to basically take over and help their people get licenses and all the proper paperwork without, like I said, having to go the right route. And ooh, I don't know. It's kind of crazy that they have ID cards and all that too. Like, it's not like it's just like they had fentanyl and stuff like that. So it's a bit different when you talk about what's deeper than that. Let's see here.
Intelligence traditions. Further into the recovered directories lay a digital archive of trade documentation. It listed export and customs forms for shipments departing from ports in Ningbo, Shenzhen, and Fuzhou, with destinations along Mexico's Pacific coastline. The recipient on most manifests matched a company already linked to fentanyl logistics inside North America. What connected these records to the Missouri case was their timing. The transfers of money, the shipping cycles, and the server updates occurred within the same hours, creating a synchronized rhythm between data and physical cargo. Another folder contained continuous video feeds, taken from the kitchens of at least 6 restaurants across the Midwest. At first glance, they seemed like ordinary security recordings, but each camera was aimed directly at the industrial stoves and dishwashers. Under those machines, agents had already found concealed drives. Timestamps from the footage showed automated data transfers taking place every night around 2 in the morning, synchronized with low traffic hours across Asia. The cameras were not there for protection against theft. They were instruments of coordination. Tracing the signal backward led investigators to a commercial cloud server in Singapore, then onward to a private network hub in Hong Kong, operated by a financial holding company with documented ties to Chinese maritime conglomerates. Treasury analysts concluded that the Missouri operation was one component of a global structure, a combination of narcotics transport, money laundering, and intelligence collection. The discovery forced a reclassification. What began as a criminal investigation now became a counter-espionage case. For the first time in years, DHS, the FBI, and the Office of Naval Intelligence
So wait, are they saying that they had the cameras there to make sure that they're like doing the work, like making sure that they're actually working?
operated under a single investigative grid. Their assessment was uniform. The network's true objective was the collection of American financial and biometric data under the cover of narcotics commerce. Subsequent field checks revealed that several employees at the seized restaurants were not undocumented workers, as initially assumed. They were trained specialists using false identities, some with backgrounds in telecommunications and logistics. Their skill sets aligned precisely with the data handling requirements described in the recovered files. Immigration records showed that 2 of their passports had never been issued through legitimate channels. By the 3rd day of digital reconstruction, analysts had mapped a communications exchange between command centers in Shenzhen and Mexico City. The messages referred to synchronized cargo alignments, cycles of cash conversion, and a parallel funding mechanism that moved profits through both physical currency and cryptocurrency. The design effectively transformed narcotics revenue into an invisible financial loop capable of sustaining long-term operations. Publicly, none of this was disclosed. The official statement released by ICE characterized the incident as a large-scale visa fraud operation. Within federal channels, however, the case triggered a classified joint task force modeled after earlier counter-network programs. Investigators concluded that the network's true strength lay not in the drugs or the money, but in its access to American infrastructure. Through fake IDs, shell companies, and encrypted communications, it had built a covert transport and data system capable of moving both people and information without detection. By the end of the week, analysts summarized the structure in 3 layers. The narcotics shipments served as financial camouflage, the restaurant fronts provided legal physical access, and the encrypted communications acted as the extraction route for stolen data. Together, they formed a single operational cycle, self-funded, self-protected.
It's just crazy. I wonder what I wonder what actually tipped them off to do all that. It's just the one raid that they did on the one place. The golden whatever is what screwed everybody.
And
Crazy.
nearly invisible. It was, in effect,
I mean,
an
that's
occupation
good,
without
but
troops.
crazy.
Commerce had become the delivery vehicle for intelligence. Among the final decrypted files was a personnel directory written entirely in Mandarin, listing supervisors identified only by initials and code numbers. At the top of the page appeared a title that confirmed what investigators already suspected: Program 9, U.S. Division. With that, the picture was complete. The Missouri case had started as a narcotics raid and ended as the exposure.
Holy cow. So basically, it's like a huge network. They're just Division 9 in Missouri. That means that there's at least 8 more divisions.
Of a hybrid architecture, one merging profit, logistics, and espionage into a single machine. If this was only one division, then how many others are still operating inside the country? And how high does the command reach? Hours after the discovery of Program 9, Washington moved to seal every digital.
Mood legal cannabis.
Oh, no. Clicked out of it on accident. What the hell is wrong with her mouth? But basically, that's just nuts to think that there could be like a huge network. I mean, it's not crazy to think about because it's a very real possibility. So,
Connected to the case. ICE coordination centers in Miami, Houston, and Los Angeles received emergency tasking orders. The Department of the Treasury froze 7 corporate accounts holding over $90 million. Meanwhile, intelligence reports confirmed that 2 cargo ships from Ningbo and Fuzhou, both registered under Hanlink Technologies, had abruptly changed course in the Pacific. The decision came from above. Treat the network as an extension of foreign state operations. In Missouri, federal teams expanded the search beyond the restaurant chain. Warehouse inspections revealed stacked containers filled with disassembled microchips, all marked as kitchen sensors. Inside one shipment, investigators found what looked like an ordinary router board, but its architecture carried a secondary chipset used in military-grade communications.
whoa.
It was a civilian facade masking defense technology exports. The implications were serious. Narcotics and forged IDS were only a fraction of the system. The larger purpose was technological smuggling, designed to move hardware that could bypass U.S. export restrictions. As the investigation widened, satellite imagery showed a curious pattern. Several cargo vessels registered to the same companies had made repeated stops near the Venezuelan coast, transferring crates to smaller boats with no registered manifests. The logistics line stretched from the South China Sea to the Caribbean, using neutral ports as refueling and laundering points. From there, the shipments entered Latin America through private docks, disguised as consumer goods. What seemed like disconnected smuggling incidents now appeared to be one synchronized operation, a shadow supply line built to merge criminal profit.
It's just crazy to think that things could get this far out of hand.
With geopolitical advantage. In Washington, the Interagency Task Force shifted into offensive posture. The FBI's Counterintelligence Division began tracing every communication linked to Hanlink's corporate servers. NSA intercepts detected synchronized pings between Hong Kong and a facility in Guayaquil, Ecuador, a known logistics hub for Sinaloa-linked cartels. Analysts realized the structure wasn't linear. It was circular. Chinese front companies supplied electronics and data infrastructure, while Latin American cartels managed transportation, storage, and laundering. The cooperation created a closed economic loop that could operate even under sanctions. At Langley, CIA field analysts briefed the National Security Council on a disturbing secondary finding. Several of the recovered microchips from the Missouri warehouse matched hardware used in American radar and satellite systems. They were replicas, built to mimic genuine parts, but embedded with hidden firmware modules. That meant the network wasn't just about smuggling hardware. It was capable of reintroducing counterfeit components into U.S. defense supply chains. It was espionage through reverse commerce. In response, DHS initiated a lockdown on all import contracts tied to Asian intermediaries flagged in the operation. Over 100 shipments were detained nationwide. The move angered several state officials who feared economic fallout, but the order stood. At the Pentagon, the Defense Logistics Agency launched a top-down review of all.
Like I said, still mind blown because I'd never heard about this until now, literally.
Subcontractors providing communication components to military and border control systems. Every lead pointed to the same architecture that had begun inside a Missouri restaurant. As details emerged, the operation.
Yeah, dude. I bet you those people are on a list somewhere, you know? Like no like whack shit, but definitely probably because if they're the restaurant that got everyone else caught and it's a huge network, you're going to make some people very like that are up higher than you very 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 upset by playing with their money, you know? It's really it's wild to think that it started
Gained a new
this
codename,
close.
Southern Veil. The term described the discovery that the same network extended along the U.S. Southern Corridor, using food distributors, karaoke bars, and import firms as camouflage. In Texas, agents raided a warehouse in McAllen, where they uncovered thousands of blank chip casings and counterfeit custom seals. Each crate bore markings from ports in Shenzhen and Callao, indicating cooperation between Asian and South American intermediaries. The political layer unfolded quickly. When briefed, Beijing denied any connection to Hanlink or its subsidiaries, calling them independent exporters. Mexico and Venezuela dismissed allegations of complicity. Yet satellite archives contradicted their statements. Imagery revealed Venezuelan patrol boats escorting unmarked freighters that later appeared in Caribbean shipping logs tied to the same cartel groups now.
Oh, so basically, when they say that, they mean to say, I had no idea that they were selling drugs and moving stolen stuff and chips and military grade equipment. Yeah, no, it's just a simple little crate, and that wasn't my guys. That was some other. They were a little cartel or something.
Under U.S.
Nothing to worry
investigation.
about, guys. Nothing to worry
The
about here. Don't
exposure
worry.
forced an uncomfortable truth into daylight. The boundary between criminal networks and geopolitical actors had blurred. Cartels, once focused solely on profit, had become logistical assets for state-linked enterprises seeking entry points into U.S. markets. The Missouri case was no longer a domestic law enforcement story. It was a national security breach. At the National Security Council, advisors debated the proper response. Some argued for a quiet containment strategy, dismantle the network silently to avoid diplomatic escalation.
Oh, and that's why nobody's heard anything about it, because they're not saying anything about it. They wouldn't, they're not going to openly come out about it if there's something that they're trying to keep quiet, which makes sense. But
Others pushed for a show of strength, warning that hesitation would signal weakness. The compromise came from DHS command: proceed with public seizures, but classify the intelligence findings. That approach would protect operational secrecy while signaling to foreign adversaries that American enforcement had visibility everywhere. By the end of the week, the task force launched coordinated raids in Florida, Texas, and California. 73 arrests were made, including logistics managers who had supervised shipments.
Westminster College has a rich
now that's just rich. They got all the people from these states, but it's like, wouldn't they be in every state and every city by now?
Tons of counterfeit electronics, multiple encrypted servers, and an estimated $200 million in laundered assets.
Jeez.
Photographs from the raids showed servers stacked beside boxes of restaurant supplies, a literal fusion of commerce and espionage. The evidence left no doubt. Missouri had been the entry point, not the origin. The true objective of the operation was the quiet insertion of surveillance hardware and counterfeit components into American infrastructure. What had looked like a visa fraud ring was, in reality, a supply chain.
They straight got me on that one, because I literally was thinking that it was something like that. Like, I thought it was literally just like passports, IDs, that sort of a deal, social security cards, birth certificates, that sort of a thing. But no, it kind of seems like it's like way, way deeper. They're like going
built
deep
to
with it.
infiltrate and observe. When the report reached the Oval Office, it carried one clear message. The network had been neutralized, but its architects remained untouched. The next step would test how far the United States was willing to go, whether it would stop at dismantling the network or strike directly at those who built it. The strike was never about the freighters, it was about deterrence. At dawn, 2 cargo ships under Handlink registry moved southeast of Puerto Rico. Both matched the network uncovered in Missouri, both escorted by Venezuelan patrol boats running dark. Intelligence showed dual manifests, fertilizer on paper, surveillance components in reality. Within hours, orders came down from Washington: intercept and neutralize if engaged. The destroyer USS Winston S. Churchill and the Coast Guard cutter Hamilton closed in.
Went in there
When
to
the
whack
first freighter
shit.
ignored hails,
Went in there to go and bang it up, get stuff done.
aerial scans revealed armed men on deck. The exchange was brief.
Yeah, because in their heads, this is my livelihood, this is my money. Most of these people are doing this for money. I don't think there's like a guy on the ship and he's like, well, I'm actually here because I just really enjoy moving, parts of chips and stuff like that. I really love this, I want to be away from my family. And this is nice. Like, that's just not a reality. I don't think that any of these dudes, if anything, the dudes are probably thinking, I'm doing this for my family, for my kids, for my wife, so that we have some type of money.
Hamilton's deck gun fired 2 warning rounds, and when the smugglers responded with rockets, the Seahawk above ended it with precision fire. Boarding teams found racks of counterfeit processors, cartel enforcers from Tren de Aragua, and 5 hostages hidden in the lower decks. The second ship fled toward Venezuelan waters under naval escort. After repeated warnings, the Churchill launched 2 disabling missiles. The freighter burned for 20 minutes before sinking, its last transmission traced to a server in Guangdong. When analysts confirmed the signal, it proved what the United States had suspected. The operation was not local crime, but state-assisted espionage hidden inside cartel trade routes. In Washington, the impact was immediate. Treasury froze over $90 million in connected accounts. DHS locked down import chains across Texas and Florida. Within 48 hours, coordinated raids in multiple states recovered another 8 tons of counterfeit hardware and hundreds of encrypted drives.
So I bet money that the hardware that they're talking about is like to be able to pull your data.
The evidence outlined a single architecture: narcotics funding, criminal logistics, and logistics feeding foreign intelligence. Venezuela denied involvement, but satellite footage showed its patrol craft escorting the smugglers. The denial carried no weight. In closed briefings, the
Arrest all of them, and honestly, I'm pretty sure that Trump is like on some like we'll just destroy them if they want to play with us type of thing right now. So you never know.
operation was declared a success not because of the seizures, but because of the signal it sent. The United States had drawn a visible line across the Caribbean and demonstrated that foreign interference would be met with military reach, not legal process. The codename Southern Veil became shorthand inside the Pentagon for a new doctrine, fusing counter-narcotics enforcement with direct military deterrence. By week's end, Cyber Command dismantled the Singapore data nodes tied to the Missouri case, and the entire digital network went dark. Across Latin America, silence followed. Abandoned ships, empty warehouses, and vanished shell firms replaced the trade routes that had operated for years without interruption. For the first time, the cartel's foreign sponsors withdrew. No one wanted to be the next example. For Washington, the message was deliberate. The United States had proven it could strike criminal infrastructure that doubled as state proxy, quickly, quietly, and without negotiation. The era of hidden networks ended the moment the second
Be like, shit, I think I ate it, the old golden apple, man. Did they get my data? I'm just playing.
freighter sank. The chain was broken, but the warning remained. Not about whether America could act again, but how far it was now willing to go. Subscribe to Military Power to follow more.
And that is for real nuts because a lot of that wouldn't even happen if they wouldn't have got busted at the Golden Apple. Golden Apple's the whole reason for their takedown. But they probably should have started with doing the right thing. You know, if you're gonna come here, you know, do it legally, do the right thing, don't have fake paperwork, don't do fake shit. Just, you know, like do the hard work that like all the rest of the people do, you know? It's kind of like a little disheartening that it feels like other countries are the, you know, cartels or people that are running stuff are like all right with it. We're the only ones who are like, dude, you guys are bringing like literally shit here that is like, I mean, stealing from our people, but then also making it possible for the fakes. And like I said, the military grade stuff really kind of stuck out to me too. Like, I think it's wild that they were able to mimic military stuff, you know, and but hey, I mean, it worked out for them, right? But thank you guys for watching. This has been Willy P Reacts. This is Willy P on YouTube. It's Willy P 417, I think. And then on Twitch it's Willy P TV. Thank you guys for watching and have a good night.